Thank you, and welcome again to the Mesa City Council meeting for the 1st of July. I'll note that our council is present, including Vice Mayor Heredia, who is attending via Zoom. We will begin our meeting with a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand for the moment of silence and remain standing for the pledge. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. I'll invite Mr. Kevin Christopher to come forward and read that agenda.
These are the items on the consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk will be considered as a group by the City Council and will be enacted with one motion. There'll be no separate discussion unless a council member or citizen requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item. Item 2, approval of minutes of previous meetings is written. Item 3A, approving contract for reconstruction of Anzio ramp at Falcon Field Airport. This project is funded by an ADOT grant and Falcon Field Airport. Item 3B, approving job order master contracts for fire safety construction services. Item 3C, approving job order master contracts for small tenant improvements construction services. Item 3D, approving 3-year term contract with 2-year renewal options for phlebotomy services for the Mesa Police Department. Item 3E, approving term contract with renewal options for security and protection systems and related equipment, technology, parts, support, and services for the Mesa Police Department. Item 3F, approving 3-year term contract with 2 years of renewal options for illuminated street name, supply, and maintenance services for the Transportation Department. Item 3G, approving use of a cooperative contract for the purchase of 2 street sweepers for the Fleet Services and Transportation Departments. This purchase is funded by a MAG ADOT Congestion and Mitigation Air Quality Grant and the local street sales tax funds. Item 3H, approving use of a cooperative contract of 1 air sweeper for the Fleet Services Department and Falcon Field Airport. This purchase is funded by a MAG ADOT Congestion and Mitigation Air Quality Grant and the Falcon Field Enterprise Fund. Item 3I, approving use of a cooperative contract for the purchase of original and aftermarket refuse truck parts for the Fleet Services Department. Item 3J, approving use of a cooperative contract for the purchase of 7 ambulances, 5 replacements, and 2 additions for the Mesa Fire and Medical Department. This purchase is funded by the Ambulance Transport Fund. Item 3K, approving dollar limit increase to the term contract for fire department uniforms for the Mesa Fire and Medical Department. Item 3L, approving use of a cooperative contract for the purchase of 3 automated side loader refuse trucks for the Fleet Services and Solid Waste Departments. Item 3M, approving use of a cooperative contract for the purchase of 1 waste bin handler truck for the Fleet Services and Solid Waste Departments. Item 3N, approving 3-year term contract with 2-year renewal options for video surveillance system maintenance and installations for the Water Resources Department. Item 3O, approving 4-year term contract with 6 years of renewal options for information technology solutions and services for various city departments as requested by the Department of Innovation and Technology. Item 3P, approving 3-year term contract with 2-year renewal options for safety shoes for various city departments as requested by the Human Resources Department. Item 4A, approving resolution to enter into a 1-year agreement with Visit Mesa for distribution of a portion of the city's transient lodging tax proceeds for the promotion of tourism and destination marketing in Mesa. Item 4B, approving resolution to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Regional Public Transportation Authority for fixed route bus, paratransit, and ride choice services. The majority of funding will be from Proposition 400. Item 4C, approving resolution to enter into a funding agreement with Valley Metro Rail for the current light rail operations in the city of Mesa. Part of the funding will be from light rail fares, advertising, a preventive maintenance grant, and Arizona lottery funds. Item 5A, introduction of ordinance or proposed amendments to Section 11-7-2 of Title 11 of the Mesa City Code, allowing banquet and conference centers in certain employment districts. Item 5B, introduction of ordinance for proposed amendments to Chapters 24 and 85 of Title 11 of the Mesa City Code pertaining to city special events. Item 5C, introduction of ordinance amending the Mesa City Code for repealing existing Chapter 10 of Title 8 and adopting a new replacement Title 8, Chapter 10, entitled Municipal Water System pertaining to large water customer users. Item 5D, introduction of ordinance for zoning case 23-465 for property located west of Gilbert Road and north of Brown Road. rezone and site plan review to allow for daycare center. Item 6A, approve ordinance for proposed amendments to chapters 5, 6, and 31 of Title 11 of the Mesa City Code for minor revisions and technical updates. Item 6B, approving ordinance for zoning case 23-645 for property generally located west of Gilbert Road and north of University Drive. Rezone to the plan area development overlay and site plan review to allow for multiple residence development. Item 6C, approving ordinance for zoning case 23-982 for property generally located north of Broadway Road and west of Mesa Drive. This is for a rezone of the bonus intensity zone overlay, council use permit, and major site plan modification to allow for a warehouse development. Item 7A, approving subdivision plat, Pecos plat for property located west of Ellsworth Road on the south side of Pecos Road. Mayor and council members, these are the items in the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Christopher. Ms. Mosley, do we have any requests to speak on an item that's on the consent agenda?
No request, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Council, please cast your vote. I see we have a motion by Councilmember Freeman, seconded by Councilmember Spilsbury, so please vote. Vice Mayor Heredia, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Councilmember Goforth, looks like you have to press your button
She's
a little
got a
harder.
different button.
You've got it, oh, okay. Does it show
You
up
can
on your
tell me
screen?
your vote and I'll put it on here if it's not working.
Oh,
She's in a
yeah,
different seat.
there we
I
go.
voted for you, Jen.
All right,
Did I vote
great.
correctly?
Well, the good news is everybody voted the same way, so it all worked out. Thank you, that passes unanimously. Next item on our agenda. Oh, did I not ask Frankie?
No, he did.
He did, okay, great, thank you.
Voted for him.
All right, did you do that correctly, Mr. Smith? Okay, there we go. All right, next item on our agenda is item 8A. It's to conduct a public hearing prior to the release of the petition for signatures for the proposed annexation case ANX 23-00800, located on the north side of East Pecos Road and on the west side of the proposed South Crisman Road alignment. I declare the public hearing open. Ms. Mosley, do we have any requests to speak on this item?
No request on this item, Mayor.
Thank you. Do any council members wish to address this item? All right. Thank you. I declare the public hearing closed. Again, this hearing was to release the petition for signatures, and there's no other action on this item, which will in the future come back to council for consideration of the annexation. Next is a similar item. Item 8B is to conduct a public hearing prior to the release of the petition for signatures for the proposed annexation case ANX 24-00192, located on the north side of East Pecos Road and on the east side of the proposed South Crisman Road alignment. I declare that public hearing open. Ms. Mosley, do we have any requests to speak on this item?
No request.
Thank you. Do any member of the council wish to address this item? All right, thank you. I declare the public hearing closed. And again, this item will come back to council in the future for consideration of the annexation. Next is item 9A. To avoid the appearance of a conflict, I have conflicted off of this item, so I will ask the Vice Mayor to handle it.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor. Item 9A is to take action on the construction services contract for the Signal Butte Water Treatment Plant expansion, construction manager at risk, GMP number 2. Any of the council members want to discuss this item? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve this item? I'm assuming there is a motion and a second. Probably, yep, okay. Please cast your vote. I vote aye. Motion passes unanimously with the mayor abstaining due to a conflict. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Next item on our agenda is items from citizens present. Ms. Mosley, you previously handed me 2 blue cards.
Yes,
So,
Mayor, those are the only 2
Any
requests.
additional cards?
No, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So we'll invite these 2 folks up. Please approach the microphone, state your name and your address, and you'll have 3 minutes to share with us whatever you'd like. First, we'll hear from Carissa Arnold.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. Just for security reasons, I'm not going to disclose my address. But I just wanted to come to you tonight. I got to share about my daughter at the last meeting that you guys had. We are just coming to ask for your help and just seeing if you guys can work on publishing information to the public regarding your unruly gathering law. And this weekend, there was an extreme height in parties. Kids were drinking. They had open containers in their cars. Your Mesa officers were having to deal with these all night long. And so it seems like parents are not getting aware of what the law is regarding and surrounding. And at one of these parties, unfortunately, a minor did have his head repeatedly kicked in at the party. And so it is happening all over our cities here in the East Valley. It is becoming and has been a problem for a while now. And so our parents really need a lot of education and backing behind the fact that there are consequences when you hold these parties, and they need to be held accountable for them, as well as our minors when they are like going to these parties and these fights and things are happening and kids are getting their heads kicked in. And they're having open alcohol containers in their cars. They're not understanding what's going on. And so these kids are jumping in the East Valley from party to party to party. So as one gets shut down, they're moving to the next one. And so we really just need to have a hammering down on understanding that there are consequences for our parents and the homeowners, and that there are consequences for the minors going forward. And so public information going out would be helpful. And so we're asking for you guys to help us with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Arnold, and I do not want you to share your address, but just to be
Sure.
clear.
Sure.
Your home is in the town of Gilbert,
That is correct.
and you're here as really kind of a regional effort to address this
Correct.
issue.
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate your time.
You bet. Bridget Vega.
Bridget Vega, good evening, Mayor and Council. Change begins with awareness. Justice starts with us. When does it stop? When each and every single one of us have the courage to stop turning a blind eye and looking away. Again, you don't get to look the other way on this issue, especially after this weekend when multiple parties happened in Mesa, including, as reported, one on Castile, where a teenager defenseless on the floor. He was kicked, as bystanders recorded, and his head was stomped on. As a parent, assault survivor, and a community advocate, especially for the youth, we ask that you implement and raise awareness around the unruly ordinance that you guys have in place, along with enforcing curfew and not only holding the kids accountable, but the parents as well. We also come to you as this is the second request as teenager Connor Jarnigan, who was brutally assaulted by Brass Knuckles, continues to take a stand in the face of adversity and be a beacon of hope for the community. As a community, we ask that you adopt the language and lock arms with Chandler and Gilbert to implement the no brass knuckle ordinance to make it illegal for minors to possess and also illegal for anyone to sell or distribute them. Let us not be bystanders, but agents of upstandards and change. Let us commit to breaking the cycle of harm and fostering a community that's built on love, empathy, and accountability. Together, we can create a brighter future for the generations to come as we are all one and bleed the same. Please continue to keep all of the families in your prayers. If we can take a moment of silence for Preston Lord and all of the teens who've been assaulted mentally, physically, and sexually, and all of the youth that were wrongfully murdered due to senseless acts of violence. Rise up, Mesa. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, Ms. Vega, we're glad that you're here, but just for the record, your home is in Gilbert, correct? Yes. All right. Thank you very much for caring about this issue. Because this is not on our agenda, I think you understand we cannot directly respond to the questions that you asked. But directly behind you, I would like to introduce you to Commander Don Sterlin, who is the commander of District 6, part of Mesa, which I think is where the party that you're concerned about occurred. I want to assure you that we have a zero tolerance policy with teen violence, but I would encourage you to please connect with him, and maybe he can answer some of the questions you might have about that particular incident. All right, thank you very much. All right, Council, that concludes everything on our agenda for this meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Mr. Summers. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. We are adjourned.